Blue and red lights smeared across the stucco at our gate, and for a breath, the whole street went silent. Then she said it out loud. People like him. And a dozen phones caught it in unforgiving clarity. The officer handed me back my ID, looked at her, and said 911 isn't a shortcut for embarrassment. And by sunrise, the videos were everywhere. I didn't smile or gloat or throw a line back over my shoulder. I just stood there in that strange mix of heat and relief, the kind that leaves your hands steady and your stomach tight. That's the end of the night, but it started earlier with a sign everyone sees and a rule everyone knows. My name's Andre Ellis. I'm 44, I manage projects and stress and a lawn that hits the exact shade the HOA prefers. Red Mesa Ridge is our little grid of matching mailboxes and tidy palms off Ray Road in Chandler. And right at the gate, there's a brown metal sign with white letters that says, "Residents must use entry card. No piggyback entry. Violators fined $250. Simple fare, the kind of rule that works because it belongs to everyone. Desert evening gold, sliding into purple, the gate motor humming like it's on its last nerve. I click my fob to set my briefcase on the passenger seat, and I hear heels tapping fast. Then a voice with edges. "Excuse me, be a gentleman," and open the gate. I left my card. I turned gray Bob cardigan. HOA badge clipped like it came with a siren. She smiles. Like a judge who already knows the verdict, I nod at the sign and say, "Can't do that, ma'am. Security can buzz you in after they verify your address. It's posted right there." She tilts her chin. Not used to hearing no. "I've chaired this board for 12 years. I keep this place in line. I won't be standing out here like a lost tourist. And I keep my voice even, because tone is a match, and the night is dry. Everyone has to follow the rule. No card, no entry. Call the guardhouse. And you're good. You don't get to decide who lives here," she says, which is a funny way to admit what this is really about. I shift my briefcase so my hands stay open and visible. I point at the sign. That's exactly why I'm following it. Then she goes there. "You're loitering. You're making me uncomfortable." That word lands with a thud, because uncomfortable stretches and sticks to anything you don't want to name. I answered the only way that keeps the floor steady. "I'm going home. My street's 3 blocks in. Call the number, they'll let you in. If you won't help me, I'll call the police," she says. And I laugh once through my nose. Not disrespectful. Just the sound disbelief makes when it escapes. "You're calling 911 for a gate card." But she's already dialing. And a second later, she's describing me. Like I'm a shadow at the edge of a parking lot. African-American male, mid-40s, blocking me. Acting suspicious. Suspicious in front of the camera that blinks red every night. Suspicious on the street where my kid learned to ride a bike. Suspicious because I said no to breaking the rule she enforces on everyone else. You know what I mean. I text my wife, Leah. She's a dispatcher. "You won't believe what's happening at the gate." And she replies fast, "Got it." And that's all. Because protocol is a wall. You don't climb even when your heart sprints ahead. Still, I can picture her at that console headset. Snug listening to a stranger turn inconvenience into an emergency. Writing notes that have to be clean, because the world gets messy all on its own. The cruiser rolls in without a siren. Just the slow wash of light. Officer Miguel Alvarez steps out. Steady hands. Watchful eyes. Officer Dana Kumari on the other side with a flashlight that moves like it's reading the scene out loud. I keep my palms visible. My license pinched between 2 fingers. Evening officers, Andre Ellis. I live on Crimson Wash Court, 3 blocks in ID and fob right here. And Alvarez nods. Thank you, sir. We'll check that no attitude, just the cadence of a man who's seen nights go wrong and would rather not witness another. Neighbors drift to their porches. A kid in a Diamondbacks cap lifts his phone just enough to pretend he isn't filming. And Dawn, that's her name, the chair, steps forward like the light owes her money. He refused to let me in. He glared. It felt threatening. I've chaired this board for 12 years. That last part keeps popping up like a commercial. And Kumari asks, calm and patient, did he touch you, or block your path, or threaten you verbally? And the pause does the work before Dawn answers. But his presence. You hear the room of the world lean, then the teenagers, the dog walkers, the quiet folks, who have learned to tell big truths without making big sounds. And Alvarez checks my license against the address and says, ID matches Mr. Ellis lives here, and I just nod because relief is loud enough inside my ribs. And he adds, I appreciate your hands visible and your ID ready. Small courtesies. Big impact, that's the math. The sign gleams under Kumari's beam, like it asked for a close-up. Residents must use entry card. No piggyback entry. And that's when Maya from 2 streets over steps in phone at her side. Like she's holding 2 kinds of evidence, Dawn. You fined 3 families last month for letting people in without a card. The newsletter says the same rule he followed, and Dawn's expression shifts the way the air does before a dust storm. Heavy crackling. Then the sentence skips out of her mouth like it's been waiting. People like him, and everyone hears it. The kid in the cap raises his phone, and the night decides whose side it's on. Kumari says it clean. Ma'am, 911 is for emergencies. Medical violence, an active threat, a lost gate card, is a property management issue. From what I can see, he followed the posted rules. We can't be the shortcut for convenience, and Alvarez turns to me with my license. Darth Ellis. You're cleared to go home, then. To Dawn, ma. This is a warning misuse of emergency services. Ties up units. Who could be at a crash or a heart attack, do not do this again. And the words land like a gavel. You can feel in your shoes. I don't crow, I don't preach. I say the quiet truth out loud. All this because I said no to breaking a rule, and I drive home under the same sky porch light. Too bright, welcome mat that flips from go away to welcome. Because my daughter thinks that's hilarious, my phone lights up with a neighborhood post. Someone captions the clip, rules for you, shortcuts for me, and the comments take off like dry grass catching a match. By morning, the board chat is a bonfire. Some folks defend Dawn because service buys you grace until it doesn't. Others drop screenshots of last month's memo and a close-up of the sign with a timestamp. Leah comes in from her shift with that look dispatchers get when their job forces them to hold their breath for hours. She can't talk details, but she taps the counter and says, "Notes say no threat." Caller warned, and I take her hand and let that sit, because sometimes the only good thing you can do with relief is not waste it. The HOA president, Patrick, schedules an emergency session at the clubhouse. I don't want a showdown. I want a reset, but sometimes the only way to reset is to put the evidence on a wall and let it breathe. The room smells like dry erase markers and old coffee. 5 board members at a plastic table, homeowners in folding chairs with their phones face down for once, and Patrick runs the tape. Gate camera angle, Noah's phone angle, the newsletter paragraph, the dispatch summary. No strings, No soundtrack, just the night telling on itself. And Dawn says I felt unsafe. Any woman would. Which is the kind of sentence that tries to use everyone as a shield. Patrick answers carefully. Feeling uncomfortable is real. It's for danger. It says so in the pamphlet we send out every year, and Maya's voice finds the clean line. You fined me $250 because my babysitter forgot her card in June. You sent me a photo of the sign. You can't fine us for following the rule and call the police when it's inconvenient for you. And there's that hush where people stop pretending they don't know what's true. I keep it short. I didn't make the rule. I refuse to break it. And the secretary reads Officer Kamari's note with those precise syllables. Some folks keep for church no threat, observed, subject, produced ID. Immediately, caller warned on misuse of 911. Recommend community reminder, and the vote is unanimous. Patrick taps a little gavel, you can barely hear, and says Ms. Kettering is removed as chair. Effective immediately, the board recommends you resign. And I don't look at her because staring can curdle into gloating fast. I thank the room for the transparency, and I step out into heat that lingers 5 minutes longer over asphalt than anywhere else. Justice doesn't throw a parade. It sends an email and makes a sound like wood on wood the next day. The board reminds everyone when to call the guardhouse and when to call 911. A week later, another note says Dawn has resigned, no statement, no apology. And I don't need one to move on. I still stop at the sign sometimes. Walking back from the mailbox, I read the letters. Like a little pledge, and I think about this line we keep arguing over in America, the one between feeling unsafe and being unsafe, because one is a feeling and the other is a fact, and if we blur them on purpose, the wrong people pay the bill. You know what I mean. I handled it with calm, because I've practiced, because I know how fast a night can turn, because standing where you belong shouldn't require a speech. But if it does, let the evidence talk, and let the rules protect everyone the same. That's the whole point, and I'll leave you here at the gate with a twist you maybe guessed already. The dispatcher who took that call was my wife. She heard a stranger try to make me a headline, and she stayed steady anyway. She let the system work the way it's supposed to work, with notes and clarity, and no drama that isn't necessary. And maybe that's the real lesson that dignity can be, louder than accusation. If you give it a microphone. Your turn now. Where do you draw the line between discomfort and danger? Have you seen 911 used like a shortcut for control? Does your HOA bend for some and snap on others? Tell me if the board got it right. Tell me what justice looks like on your block, and if this hit a nerve or made you think. Drop a comment, share your story. Subscribe for more real ones.